It's me again, Tabitha Mudra, with this time art director Alejandro oh my gosh, Avila. Tell me how to say it again.
Avila.
Avila. I love it. Avila. Alejandro Avila. And we're here to talk all the things behind the scenes on Pitbulls and Piranhas. And we're so excited because Alejandro has not seen the full screening yet, but soon will on Thursday. So this is super, I don't know, yeah, it's just overall exciting to learn more about what you did on set. Introduce yourself and what were your roles and goals, and how did you play on set?
Yeah, so I was the art director and prop master for Pitbulls and Piranhas. I assisted Gio, the production designer, in just realizing everything that's on the screen, all the art stuff, meaning the things on the walls, the things that actors are handling, anything that wasn't there at the location when we got there. Even once we get there at the location, moving that stuff around, that was our responsibility, to find the look and feel of the world.
Mm-hmm. So the entire visual world, as well as the tactile world that each character is living in, is your role and goal on set.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating. It seems like a huge job. I know there were a lot of bins, many carloads or truckloads of things. These characters required quite a few specific props. I'm trying to think. We had a pregnancy belly. We had a very specific gun that you found. Where'd you find it?
I looked around different rental houses. There weren't too many in Florida. The one we did find, I think it was sourced from Virginia. There is a company that sells, that rents out prop firearms for stage shows and films, things like that. And they were very helpful in helping us find the specific type, because there are a bunch of different types. Ones that can fire blanks, ones that just don't do anything. The one we got just doesn't do anything. It just looks like a gun and that's it. And then I handled the care of it on set. So just making sure that it's only out exactly when it needs to be out, and that everybody knows what it is and where it is, so that we have a safe set.
Yes, that was a huge tackled thing. Like, you were on top of that. It was wonderful. And we had to play with that gun a lot. It was in the small of Dan's back for most of his scenes. And then it even had a featured moment where it was positioned, dropped, kicked, and then assessed by our youngest child actor. That was a curious, very intense scene. Tell me what goes on behind the scenes in the art direction and the prop mastering. What's going on that no one knows about?
Sure. This proof of concept film involved a lot of sourcing, because it's a period piece, and so a lot of the items from this time period are, considered old and often thrown out. So before the film, Gio and I would hit up all the thrift stores and just used item places. And there was also action that involved like destruction of furniture, stuff like that, and actors moving around. So we also built a breakaway table, and we purchased some breakaway glasses, so that we can have as much destruction as the script calls for, and it'll still be safe for the actors.
So I didn't even know that you built that table. The table shows up. like I said, it's like so important. I'm like, thank you for everything I know you did, but thank you for everything I don't know you did, because everyone's working on their respected like geniuses. And then I saw the table and I just thought it was a purchase from a vintage store or something. No, no, no. It was so well done that it looked like it was purchased from a vintage store. So thank you. What was that? You were in your workshop and you built a breakaway table.
Yeah, it was made with cardboard for like the tabletops, and then it's a very delicate balancing act of making it so that it just kind of crumbles, but only when you want it to, and not when you're just having it on set. And it worked. It stood there. We were able to put things on top of it, and it was able to hold the weight of a lamp. And then when the time came for it to be destroyed, it fell apart.
I remember this very clearly. It had also an ashtray. It had props all over it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is very cool. What challenges did you face on this project, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, the locations were I mean, for the script they were fantastic. For the finished product, they were exactly the places that it needed to be. There's a lot of like it was on location. Like this was super duper filmed on location, and what that meant was it was uncomfortable, and it didn't help being in Florida that it's so hot and humid, and we had to deal with rain, we had to deal with excessive heat. The way I dealt with that was just sheer force of will and tenacity, and just dressing for the weather.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like, I tried to get everyone to come to the locations to really see what we were working with, and how at the first location it had to be skeletal crew. And then at the second location, we had to prepare as best as possible, because now we have space, but we are with all the elements. And I don't think anyone I'm sure in life it's happened, but has experienced this many hurdles with 2 locations. And not to mention, these locations took 2 years to find, because you had to go door to door and literally search on Google Earth to find Larry's location, and then driving to every mobile home park from West Palm Beach to Miami, only to have the final last mobile home park be Teresa's yes. And it was a hot, sweaty mess. Yes, it was. And in a lot of the scenes, there's authentic sweat. We brought sweat because they were supposed to be sweaty. We didn't need to use it. What was your favorite part about being on set?
It's definitely the people. We had a great team. The production designer I've worked with before, so we just get along super well. And once you're there, it's the weather, it brings out the best in in certain people, and those certain people were the crew and the cast and crew of Pipples and Piranhas. We were all dealing with it. We were all trucking, and we got it done.
It's a wild thing to, everyone says don't document, don't film in the summer, but that's when everyone has the time, right? Because it's a little slower. So when you do your personal projects, you're like, you don't want to go during season, because everyone's on all the big projects, or whatever. When you're doing these passion things, it's summer or bust. That's when you can usually hand select the perfect crew. So I do think we had elements of all that magic. And Giovanna Espinal, I always say Gio, and just like I call you Ollie, and I'm like, I don't know why that I have to abbreviate everything. She was so clear that you were the one to be on this set. Like from day one, she was like, I know I'm gonna need help. This is who I wanna, join forces with. And I was like, okay, let's meet, let's figure it out. And you were an absolute delight. You two together were magic in the making. The way you collaborated and danced, and it was a perfect film tango, watching you tackle every environment inside of our own challenges with environments, creating all of the environments for the characters. It was, we will soon see how much breath you gave to these characters. Let's go to an outdoor scene that has a ton of stuff. We'll show a little bit and talk about what all went into this little scene.
Manna from heaven.
Yeah. So all the stuff that's there. Yeah, we put it there. If even we didn't bring it in ourselves, the grill was like a special challenge. I can't really speak to it. That wasn't under my purview, but I remember finding that color and all that was I think were you involved in the grill sourcing?
Yes, I was. I happened to find the grill, and it was a magical little moment. But yeah, everything had to be the psychology of what Dan would have new and would have old. Mm-hmm. Why would he take care of certain things and not other things? So that was I was like, it could look really weathered, but it seems like this is something he loves. So he's going to take care of that, but nothing else is taken care of.
Yeah. And it's a bunch of the little things in that location. What's on the ground, what's behind them, the clothesline. Gio put the clothesline up, and even the windows of the trailer, because you can see that, and an audience member might not notice it, but the only reason they're not noticing it is because we went there first and make sure there wasn't anything to notice. And just working with what we had in the location, there were a couple of things that there were a bunch of things we moved out of the way, but there were a couple things that we sort of put in there because it was such a great location, and there were objects that were there that we worked with locations with Navetti to make sure we had permission to go there and move that stuff around, and we could use the location to augment the stuff that we had already thrifted and found.
Mm-hmm. That location was, both locations were a dream for the scenes. But yeah, having the ground look the way it did, the trailer looking the way it does, and then you guys sourced a chair, a very awesome used chair, a table, everything on it, the plates, the tongs that he's using, the steak had to come, a steak doesn't magically show up to set. It has to be purchased. Mm-hmm. Multiple steaks must be purchased. And on this particular set, a very large raccoon got away with our biggest steak. Very cute. We walked away to have lunch.
Lunch, yeah.
And a raccoon was running away with it. It was very, very cute.
Yeah, it wasn't just us having lunch.
And I love a raccoon. So I was like, you can have it. And There was a radio, there was a table, there was money, there was clothing, there was the beer that he spits out, which is not beer, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Someone had a hand, you know, between you and Geo on every single detail they are interacting with. And I always find that fascinating because so many people, you know, you're just like, if art department as a whole has done their best job, no one notices, right? Because that's the environment they should have been in the whole time. It makes sense for the characters. So I love that. I love every scene, and there's so many different dynamic moments, from opening a fridge to being at the fish tank, to every intimate moment of this film has a level of art department, whether it was simple touches or as detailed as the barbecue area. I have another detailed area that you guys worked on quite a bit, Miss Deb's house. Let's watch that.
Okay, sweetie. Your plate goes like this.
Miss Deb's house.
Yeah, I love Miss Deb's house.
The environment's perfect, predated 1970s. You had, I mean, so we're shooting 3 angles. All 3, and then one character this way, one character this way, and everything had to be perfectly placed so that it made sense for that shot. I remember you getting reflections on the spoons, and like we were testing everything because that whole room was just reflecting everything. There was glass everywhere, and but it ended up being such a beautifully lit scene. Dynamic with the warmth from the walls, and it's just a really, but there's a ton of stuff going on in that scene. There's a table that did not exist.
Right.
Pretty much everything you see outside of the background, right? Some of that was there. Everything you see in that was brought in. Everything original was taken down. The table was taken out, all of the artwork was taken out, and all new character props were brought in. And we had, I think, 5 hours at that location only. We had to move fast. Yeah. And tons of food. I don't know who was in charge of the food, but there was a lot of food, and all the things that the food had to go on, plates, placemats, silverware, all again appropriate for the time. So that was really fun.
Keeping in mind the other departments too, because all of this silverware and plates, especially that the actors are handling, they're going to be making noise that the sound person is not going to appreciate if it's overlapping with the dialogue. So we also experimented with different placemats and stuff like that with the movement. The friction between certain placemats and the table would be too much and would cause problems. It would make the moving plates around inconsistent, and so that's why we had multiple options for all these things. That's something that Geo is great, finding options within all the limitations that that we had with the time period, and not having a studio multi-million-dollar budget. We found the stuff that gave us great opportunities here.
Yeah, and how you both have to understand so clearly the characters that you're getting these props for, so that they make perfect sense and the audience doesn't think twice about it. which is it's such a joy. A friend of mine genuinely did not know that art department was a whole thing. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to interview and really, really, truly express how important the environment of each character is.
Yeah, I don't know about for me, my personal process for doing art direction and looking for the props and stuff is doing a breakdown of the script similar to how an actor does when they're trying to discover who is this character, what are they like. The things that they own and the places they live in are huge parts of showing the audience who a character is, and that's one of my favorite. That's easily one of my favorite aspects of this department, working in this department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're very good at it, and you're very detailed. I saw your list of props and the organization, and I was like, yeah, I love a list. It gets me excited because it means someone's eyes and ears are on top of all of these details. And Pickles and Piranhas was not without many, many, many details. And there were so many different, each scene required a number of different props and additives. And it was, you'll soon see, it just goes and flows together so seamlessly. It's just a joy to watch. It's also very uncomfortable to watch. So it's not the sweetest film I've ever made, but I don't think I've made a sweet film yet. What was your favorite scene to film? I think for you, I only got to see you a lot at Miss Deb's house. Like you were really in it because there was so much in that one tiny little area. But I also loved, me personally, Samantha's room was very textured. It was tiny, tight space, but everything was placed so nicely. I have favorites in every element. What about you?
Yeah, I would have to say Miss Deb's house. Not just because of the air conditioning, but also the just space and the freedom, and it was a location that had that sort of energy of like, we need to get this done, all hands on deck. And we had a lot of help from other departments, and especially Grip and Electric helping us move stuff. Just everybody was kind of helping us move stuff because we had so much stuff to put up in such little time, without the luxury of just like being able to go in whenever, like, this is somebody's house, so we can't just come in and kick them out for a few days. We came in and we had a lot of things to set up, and we were just working right up until the camera rolled. Mm-hmm. We were stuff around and getting stuff ready, and that's what I like about the film production in general. It's just like everybody has a job, and there's everybody's relying on you, and that's just a great feeling when you're with a crew that really appreciates and respects each other.
Yeah, we had a lot. It was so nice to be at Patty's house because we had room. Everyone, all the actors had a room. We had a craft service room. We had the space, and that was the shortest amount of time we had in any location. So of course we have this, we're spoiled, right? We have the luxury of space and AC and a bathroom and everything. And we've got to do a company move to a very, very difficult location right after the 1970s home, which was our big night with the extras. which was a night of you and Gio going hard on, I don't have that scene, but that was a huge set to build. In that it was simple, and anytime something looks simple, that means many people had much time on that simple set. It was so dynamic, that final dog scene. You know, this is where we have 2 pit bulls that are screen trained. We have, you had thought of this rustling with the rope. So we were able to cheat that scene at the very end. We were able to do a lot with a very little amount of time. So much so that it extended the script a little bit because we had more time. That was a half a day for like a paragraph of script.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to work with the dogs and the extras, we needed more time. But that was an awesome, you guys were digging into the ground with a pick.
Yeah.
It was so massive. Everyone was having fun with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another great thing, is just like everybody's working towards what is the final film going to be like. And that's what's on everybody's mind, because that's what everything is kind of going for. And just having as much material and as much variety once you get into the editing room and get the opportunity to like really build what the film's going to be, is why we're there for those like few days. Because you know, something done in the like 10 minutes in production could be the thing that clarifies some plot point that you later realize, like, hold on, people are going to be confused here. But having the foresight of filming something that was there, or can solve huge problems later down the line.
Absolutely. We had a couple shots exactly like that, where we weren't sure if we had that kind of huggable tether. And so we had to, you know, bring this pickup shot, as we say, but we were still filming. There was no picking up. We had a period piece. So on top of that, that already is a hurdle and a challenge in itself. Then we have child actor, then we have dogs, fish, firearm, you know, just a number of hurdles that picking up shots was not in the cards. We needed to get all of our shots in those production days. That was the commitment. And the script was only, I think, 7.5, 8 pages. And it's now a 15-minute film. So it's looking like instead of each page being 1 minute, it looks like it's holding for 2, mm-hmm. which is unusual. Usually it's a beat is a minute. But, you know, we have Erin Lee editing, and she's a very feelist editor. So she's feeling through and giving these nice moments and pauses and things like that, which you'll soon see. In the world of Samantha being the young character that we're following on this trek of a movie, a proof of concept to a feature film, but shot as a short so that we can go into film festivals. She is her own unique individual, but we don't know if she's a cycle breaker. She's essentially intertwined with a lot of generational trauma and unique experiences. And we tackle mental health and substance abuse and domestic violence, animal cruelty, and more. And Samantha is we're hoping she's going to break this cycle, but we don't know what qualifies her as such a young person, you know. What qualities do you think make a cycle breaker? Personality traits, mental strengths.
Yeah, I think that of course there needs to be, you know, the strength, the bravery to try to look and see that there's self-awareness of what is happening and is it good, but also imagination to imagine how things could be different and find something that you can do. There's the hope and the strength of actually doing it and doing the work to break the cyclical trauma, but also just the curiosity of like what's the best way to live your life and interact with the people you love and yeah, that.
No, I think that's a solid answer. So if we restate it, you said it's a bravery, a self-awareness, and imagination. I think those are, yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it comes down to just one thing. You know, mindset is so important. And yeah, we get to see, well, we won't see in the proof of concept, but we get to see in the film, right? If she is a cycle breaker or if she goes right back into the same cyclical moments that have been shown to her. And in a personal tidbit, I would like to know, what are you most proud of in all of your filmmaking experience? Where do you pull your pride from?
Wow. I guess a little bit cheesy, little bit. When I think of like movies about the film industry, they tend to go along these lines. But just not giving up and just always knowing what my goals are, and that to me, I never feel like I'm lost if I know eventually what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm. You're so good at what you do. You are so good at it. I could watch you and Giovanna collaborate all day long. I can't wait to do the next one and the next one and turn this into a feature and give all of the characters all the backgrounds they need. Was this your first period piece by chance? Or had you?
In school, it was like a ghost from back in time comes over kind of thing. So I did have to dress a character from like the 1800s. So as far as the world being a period piece, yes. Characters, not so much.
Yeah.
So it was a unique challenge here.
I would love to do an 1800s piece, like a whole, every environment, character. Oh, that would be wonderful.
Like, doesn't matter what or when, like history. I love learning about that.
Yeah. And those are, you know, those costumes, to make them look good, it takes something. And forget about it with sets, you know, like depending on what type of lifestyle each character has, it's a grand, you know, they did great woodworking. Everything was detailed, you know, like in the 1800s. So, oh, I would love that. What advice would you give to your younger self in respect to your role on set? I sort of think you tackled this in the pride in the process question, which is like continuing, like always knowing your personal goals and tackling them. But yeah, what advice would you give someone looking to get into the area of art direction on film?
That just with anything film, it's who you know. I've heard it a million times, and I'm always suspicious of like the thing that like everybody knows is a given. But no, that one I've definitely found true, and because of that, it's about just doing every single project that you can that's in that space, that's in the professional filmmaking space. And because these people that you meet are then going to introduce you to the other people, and then the next project. It's, you know, it's one month you are not in the film industry, then you meet somebody, and then you go from one project to another. You meet one, like I can trace just people, and it all started with one person, every single like, you know. So to sum it all up, the advice would be, take the job no matter how small, no matter what you're concerned about, because at the end of the day you're going to meet people who are working, and that's how you get where you're going to go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've been on many a sets as different roles and goals, and I loved it because each set brought me closer to someone, and somewhere, a new project. Everyone's working on their own thing. I know you're working on a really cool thing right now with quite a few people. It's an animation, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's it called?
It's called Moon Rocks.
Moon Rocks. And that's got a little buzz in the community of filmmakers. So that's pretty fun. Is there any one person that stood out to you on set? Here's your highlight moment. You could shout them out.
Well, it's got to be Giovanna. It's got to be my production designer that I work with so much, and we were just on the same page. There was so much time even before we got on set that we were working on this and like brainstorming about it. We were able to split up roles and fill in each other's gaps, because there's so many things to keep in mind while you're on set that no one person can keep track of them. It's completely unrealistic, you know. So especially with, you know, just the prop firearm, you need somebody who's putting all of their attention to this. And yeah. If I could do like an extra bonus one, Nabedi was such a great help as locations, and also just being the one with that's giving us the food, right, in Crafty, and keeping our morale up. It's that role is definitely one of the biggest unsung heroes, because they're not seen on the, like, what they're doing is not seen on the screen, because they enable the rest of the crew to create the stuff that ends up on screen.
Absolutely. I say, you know, there's nobody awards craft services, but we had an award-winning craft service. We had award-winning locations. We had award-winning, but those are those unsung moments. And you're like, well, at least we can shout out, you know, like, Betty, thank you so much. Absolutely. And like I said, you and Giovanna were two peas in the same art department pod. It was, I would suggest, request all of the things. You two were hands down that just fantastic. I trusted every movement you made. It was so comforting to know that you were on the project.
Thanks.
And then, what is the greatest lesson you have learned in your life?
Oh boy. Greatest lesson. Well, I'll tell you one that I'm really grateful for. It's that mosquitoes are like to be in dark places, so don't wear don't wear black when you're in outdoors in Florida. You can kind of make that something larger of like know where you're gonna be and be prepared. That's a great lesson. I'm an Eagle Scout, so that's part of my I guess training, but just being prepared and knowing what you're going to be preparing as much as you can so that you have the freedom to improvise once you get there.
Nice. Anticipation, I think, is one of those things on set. Every person has to have a level of anticipation inside of their respected roles and goals. So I could definitely get with that as a life lesson. I think it's funny, the mosquito bit.
Because everybody on set, they want to wear black.
Yep.
They don't want to reflect light. But that's something I keep telling people in Miami as much as I can. Don't wear black if you're going to be filming outdoors here.
Oh my gosh. Good one. And then if you had a magic door that opened to anywhere, where would it lead you?
It would be a moving door, and it would follow my loved ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw, shucks. That's a sweet answer. That's it. That's all we have for this part of the show. I can't wait to see your reaction on Thursday, and just celebrate with everyone, cast and crew, in this very important whip screening.
Great.
And for now, we will sign off. We will end stream. Thank you so much, Alejandro. And ciao for now.